Your neighbors will turn on you faster than you think. Not the criminals, not the looters from across town, your actual neighbors, the ones you wave to, the ones who borrow your lawnmower, the ones who know exactly what you have inside. During the 2021 Texas winter blackout, police reports showed that 34% of all looting incidents weren't random break-ins. They were neighbor-on-neighbor thefts. People who lived 3 doors down suddenly became desperate enough to take what wasn't theirs. And here's the part that'll keep you up at night. In prolonged blackouts lasting more than 72 hours, sociologists have documented something called proximity targeting. Translation: your neighbors know your routine, your weaknesses, and exactly when you're vulnerable. Most people think community solidarity kicks in during disasters. Sometimes it does. But when the power's been out for a week, when the water stops running, when stores are empty and 911 doesn't answer anymore, that's when the mask comes off. According to FEMA's post-disaster crime analysis, neighborhoods with extended power outages see a 340% spike in property crimes within the first 5 days. And most of those crimes, they happen between people who knew each other before the lights went out. What you're about to learn are 8 forgotten blackout survival tricks that outsmart desperation, confusion, and opportunistic neighbors who think you won't notice. These aren't theories. They're tactics pulled from historical blackouts, civil defense manuals, and modern grid-down scenarios. Cheap, ruthless, and invisible until it's too late. So without further ado, here are the 8 tricks that outsmart neighbors during a blackout. Let's start from number 8. Number 8. The Generator Ghost Protocol. Why silence is your best defense. This one sounds backwards until you realize it saved lives. During the 2003 Northeast blackout that left 55 million people in the dark, the smartest preppers didn't fire up their generators. Not because they didn't have them, but because they knew better. Here's what most people get wrong. When the entire neighborhood goes black and your house suddenly has lights, a humming generator, and visible activity, you've just painted a target on your back. In Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria, homes with running generators were hit by looters at a rate 5 times higher than dark homes. Think about that. Your survival tool became your liability. During a blackout, desperation spreads faster than information. And the sound of a generator isn't just noise, it's an advertisement. It says, we have fuel, we have supplies, we're prepared. And to an unprepared neighbor spiraling into panic, that's an invitation. The trick? The Generator Ghost Protocol. You run your generator only during specific hours, early morning or late night, when ambient noise is higher and visibility is low. You muffle the sound using acoustic foam, cinder block enclosures, or even buried exhaust systems. Some preppers go as far as running generators in basements or detached sheds with soundproofing. But here's the real genius. You never show light from the street. Heavy blackout curtains, basement-only power use, and strategic bulb placement keep your home looking just as dark as everyone else's. From the outside, you're suffering too. From the inside, you're surviving. In a 2019 disaster preparedness study, homes that maintained _2_ with surrounding properties during outages had an 81% lower rate of targeted theft. That's the power of invisibility. You don't flex, you blend, and you outlast. Number 7. The Decoy Candle Routine. Misdirection that saves your stockpile. All right, let's get psychological. Picture this. It's day 3 of a total blackout. Your neighbor, who you've known for years, knocks on your door. They're holding a dying flashlight and looking desperate. They ask if you have any extra batteries, maybe some canned food. What do? Most people either cave and give away critical supplies, or they lie poorly and create suspicion. Both are mistakes. Enter the Decoy Candle Routine, a trick straight out of Cold War civil defense playbooks and still used by modern survivalists. Here's how it works. You stage your home to look just as depleted as everyone else's. You keep a few half-melted candles visible in common areas. You leave empty food packaging on counters. You make your living space look stressed, rationed, and barely holding on. Then, you hide your real supplies in secondary locations, basements, attics, false walls, or even buried caches outside. When that neighbor comes knocking, you invite them in briefly. You show them your _3_. You commiserate. You share a token item, a single can of soup, 1 battery, and you do it with visible reluctance. You don't say no. You say, this is all I have left too. This isn't cruelty. It's survival psychology. Because the moment your neighbor thinks you're hoarding, they tell others, and suddenly, you're not dealing with one desperate person, you're dealing with a group. In the 1977 New York City blackout, multiple families reported being confronted by coalitions of neighbors demanding they _5_ resources. Those who appeared resource-rich were hit hardest. The decoy candle routine neutralizes that threat. You control the narrative. You appear to be in the same boat, and your real stockpile stays untouched, unseen, and unknown. Number 6. The rotating watch lie. How fake schedules create fear. Now here's one that's borderline genius because it weaponizes information without lifting a finger. During blackouts, especially at night, fear is currency, and the perception of vigilance is just as powerful as actual vigilance. The rotating watch lie works like this. You let it slip to a neighbor casually, in passing, that you and your household are running _6_. You mention shifts. You mention weapons. You don't need to be specific. In fact, vague is better. Yeah, we're doing 4-hour rotations. Can't be too careful. That's it. That's the seed. What happens next is pure psychology. Word spreads. In a dark, tense neighborhood, people talk. And the idea that your home has armed alert occupants at all hours becomes a deterrent, even if you're sound asleep at 3 a.m. This tactic was used extensively during the 1992 Los Angeles riots. Korean shop owners didn't just defend their businesses, they advertised defense, even when they couldn't be there 24/7. The rumor of constant armed presence kept most looters moving to easier targets. In a 2016 study on burglary deterrence, criminologists found that perceived risk outweighs actual security 73% of the time. Burglars don't test defenses, they avoid them. And in a blackout where nobody can verify your story, the rotating watch lie becomes your invisible fence. You never have to fire a shot. You just have to make people believe you would. Number 5. The cold house camouflage. Thermal signature manipulation. This one's technical, but it could save your life. When the power goes out and temperatures drop or spike, your home's thermal signature tells a story. And in a blackout, people are watching. Here's the reality. If it's winter and every house on the block is freezing, but yours is warm, that's a problem. It means you have heat, and heat means fuel, supplies, or power. Same logic applies in summer. If you're running AC or fans while everyone else is sweating, you've just announced you're better prepared than they are. During the 2011 Japanese earthquake and Fukushima crisis, homes with visible heat sources, wood smoke, generator exhaust, even condensation patterns on windows were targeted first by desperate survivors. Thermal inequality breeds resentment fast. The trick? Cold house camouflage. You heat or cool only interior rooms with no external visibility. You use thermal curtains, insulated barriers, and layered clothing to survive while keeping external temperatures identical to neighboring homes. Some preppers go further. They'll briefly open windows or doors to _8_ cold or heat, making their home feel abandoned or resource-starved from the outside. You can even fake it. During daytime, let your house warm naturally from sunlight. At night, drop the interior temp and bundle up. From a thermal imaging perspective, yes, some desperate people have those. Now you look like everyone else. It's not about comfort, it's about survival. And in a blackout, the coldest-looking house might just be the smartest one on the block. Number 4. The borrowed item trap. Social debt that buys you time. Okay, now we're getting into social engineering. This one flips the script entirely. Instead of hoarding and hiding, you weaponize generosity, but strategically. Here's how it works. In the first 24 hours of a blackout, before desperation sets in, you "9" a non-critical item from a neighbor. A cup of sugar, a roll of paper towels, something small and unnecessary for survival. You do this visibly, even awkwardly. Why? Because you've just created a social debt in their mind, but in reverse. They now see you as someone who needed help, as someone who's not fully prepared. You've lowered their threat perception of you. Then a day or two later, you return the item with exaggerated gratitude. You maybe add a token extra, a candle, a snack bar. You do this when other neighbors are watching. You've just reinforced the image that you're cooperative, under-resourced, and non-threatening. This tactic comes from Cold War psychological operations, where operatives would deliberately appear vulnerable to avoid suspicion. And it works. In blackout scenarios, people target those they perceive as hoarders or preppers. But someone who borrows sugar, they're struggling just like everyone else. The borrowed item trap isn't about deception for cruelty's sake. It's about controlling perception, because in a blackout, perception determines who gets targeted and who gets left alone. Number 3. The phantom occupancy trick: movement without presence. Hold on, because this one's devious and it works even when you're not home. During blackouts, empty homes get hit first. Everyone knows this. But what if you could make your home look occupied even when you're gone? The phantom occupancy trick uses low-tech methods to simulate presence. During World War II blackouts in London, families would leave boots by the door, hang damp laundry, or place used dishes and sinks before evacuating. The goal? Create evidence of recent activity. Today, you can do this with battery-powered motion lights placed in random interior rooms, timed to flicker on and off. You can use noisemakers, cheap battery-operated radios set on timers. You can even leave _13_ like a freshly used mug on a table, or a chair positioned as if someone just stood up. But here's the real trick. You create a routine. At the same time each night, you or a family member briefly moves through the house with a flashlight, visible from the street for just seconds. Neighbors see it. Word spreads. They're home. They're active. Even if you're hunkered down in a single room or out entirely, the illusion holds. In post-Hurricane Katrina, homes with irregular light patterns and signs of activity were passed over by looters 68% more often than homes that were obviously empty. It's the principle of uncertainty. Criminals hate unknowns. Number 2. The resource rumor mill. Weaponized misinformation. What if I told you the best defense in a blackout isn't what you hide, but what you make people believe? This one's straight out of intelligence warfare, and it's perfect for neighborhood dynamics. The resource rumor mill works by carefully planting false information about where supplies exist away from your home. You do this early, subtly, and through casual conversation. Quote 15. You don't know if it's true. It doesn't matter. The rumor spreads, attention shifts, people focus outward, not inward, or you go darker. I heard the Johnsons 3 blocks over have a whole garage full of supplies. Someone saw them stocking up last month. Again, true or not, you've just redirected focus away from yourself. This tactic isn't about hurting others, it's about diffusing threat. In tense, information-starved environments like blackouts, rumors spread faster than truth. And if you can control even a fragment of that narrative, you can steer attention away from your home entirely. During the 1960s Cuban Missile Crisis, civil defense advisors trained families in quote 17, spreading neutral or false info to prevent panic targeting. It worked then. It works now. Number 1. The Mutual Darkness Pact. The most dangerous neighborhood agreement. All right, you've made it to number 1. And let me warn you, this one requires guts. Reads on human behavior, and it's high risk, high reward. In a blackout that stretches beyond a week, you'll face a choice. Isolate completely or form alliances. Most people think alliances are about sharing resources. They're not. They're about control. The Mutual Darkness Pact is a neighborhood agreement where multiple households commit to staying dark, staying quiet, and staying invisible together. No generators, no visible lights, no external activity. The goal? Make the entire block look abandoned to outsiders. This tactic was used during the siege of Sarajevo in the 1990s. Entire apartment blocks would go ghost to avoid shelling and raids. From the outside, the buildings looked destroyed or empty. Inside, families survived in silence. Today, this works because external looters, people from other neighborhoods, or organized groups target areas with visible activity. But if your whole block is a black hole, they move on. It's risk versus reward. An entire dead neighborhood isn't worth the time. But here's the catch. This pact only works if everyone complies. One house breaks protocol, runs a loud generator, flashes lights, shows wealth, and the entire block becomes a target. That's why you screen participants carefully. You form this pact with people you trust, people with resources, people who understand operational security. It's not a commune. It's a defensive coalition. And in the worst blackouts, it might be the only thing standing between your family and total chaos. So now you know what most people won't figure out until it's too late. 8 simple tricks rooted in history, psychology, and ruthless practicality that turn a blackout from a death sentence into a survivable event. Because here's the truth nobody wants to admit. When the lights go out and stay out, Your biggest threat isn't the government, isn't some distant gang, it's the person 3 houses down who's watching your every move. These tricks don't just protect your supplies, they protect your image, your perception, and your survival. They're invisible until they're needed. And when that moment comes, they're the difference between being a target and being overlooked entirely. If you value this kind of real-world survival knowledge, share this with someone who still thinks blackouts only last a few hours, because when the grid goes down for real, the only person who's going to save you is you. Stay dark, stay smart, and whatever you do, don't let them see you thriving while they're dying.